listening to Straight Outta WAC.
Kobe knocked! Bail!
Bella Earl, that's where she's special and one. Through his legs for Mike P. Oh my!
Three for the lead! Got it! Lamar Wilkerson with 1.3 left to go!
Here's your host, Kyle McDonald.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of the Straight Outta WAC podcast coming to you on this Thirsty Thursday. It's the final regular season day for the women's side of Western Athletic Conference League play. Starts at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. You know, we got Seattle U at Abilene Christian. 5:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus, New Mexico State at Sam Houston. So that's 6:30 Sam Houston time, 6 p.m. Abilene Christian time. And then at 7 p.m. Central time at Stephen F. Austin at UT Arlington, excuse me. At 6 p.m. Mountain Time, it's Utah Tech at Utah Valley. 6:30 p.m. Grand Canyon at Southern Utah. And 6 p.m. Pacific Time, UTRGV at California Baptist. That's what we got in the final slate of the women's side of Western Athletic Conference League play. Tonight, on this Thursday, it was a crazy, wild, wacky Wednesday in the Western Athletic Conference. Utah Valley won a share of the regular season title. At minimum, a share of the regular season title. Can clinch it outright on Friday when they host SFA. Sam Houston stayed in the mix with their win over SFA in Nacogdoches in that final meeting of the Battle of the Piney Woods between the Lumberjacks and the Bearcats as conference foes. Hopefully they're able to get that game scheduled each and every season, maybe even a home and home when the Bearcats go to Conference USA beginning July 1st. Big games. I want to say big games. I want to say surprises from last night. It would be Utah Tech's 37-point beatdown of Seattle U, 93-56. The Trailblazers shot 67% from the field and 67% from three-point range in the first half and route to the 37-point win. Crazy ball game there. Cam Good and Tanner Christian combined to go 11 for 11 from the field. The only two shots they missed on the night were two free throws. Tanner Christian went 4 for 6 from the free throw line. They combined for 36 points. The other one was in Cedar City. GCU getting the 83-78 road win over Southern Utah. Southern Utah had not lost a WAC home game in 2022-23. The T-Birds led 21-7 with about 13:42 left in the first half. And from there, it was all GCU. The Lopes tied up at 35 at the break. When Southern Utah led 35-33 with 51 seconds left in the first half, that was their last lead of the game. So big win for the Lopes, who now, with Southern Utah and Seattle U losing, have created a mess for that other top 4 seed. And it'll be interesting that it all comes down to Friday in the regular season finales for all 3 teams. Seattle U hosts UT Arlington, Grand Canyon is at Utah Tech, and Southern Utah hosts California Baptist. But we'll get to that in a minute. First off, I just want to say thank you for everyone for following us all season long. We still got a week to go in WAC Vegas. We'll be there all week, bringing you content, bringing you information, and so forth. We have a bracket challenge. I'll put out the link. Create an account, and I'll open it up to make your picks when the tournament is set, which should happen Saturday morning. So be on the lookout for that. We'll get some good prizes going for that. Anyways, I spoke with Associate Commissioner Drew Speraw today. I'm going to share that video with you right after this break.
Get ready for an entire week in WAC Vegas. More teams, more games. The 2023 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. March 6th through the 11th at the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to WACsports.com.
Yeah, that WAC Vegas is coming up right around the corner. We are, 4 days away from it. Monday morning, I want to say Monday afternoon, considering it'll be late Las Vegas time, but it should be an exciting time. We've seen the wild, crazy WAC going on. I want to play for you my interview with Drew Speraw from earlier today. We talked about the seating system. We talked about the depth of the league and so forth as we get ready for WAC Vegas. So let me bring that up here and see if this works. Podcast coming to you. Got the Associate Commissioner of Basketball, Drew Speraw, here on the podcast. We're at this Thursday. It's a regular season finale for the women. Regular season finale day for women's hoops in the WAC. Friday night will be the regular season finales for the men. And Drew, I feel like there's still so much to play for in these final 2 days of the regular season. Like, is this what you expected this season? Like, it's been crazy so far?
I mean, yeah, I think that it speaks volumes to the leagues that, we have, or the league we have, and how all the teams are playing in that league. And I think, from our women's standpoint, you mentioned there's obviously a lot to play for this evening. We're really happy with the improvement overall as a league. Last year we were 24th ranked conference in the net and felt like we had a lot of room to improve. And I think now we're at 16. And so to be able to move up, a good significant amount there this year is important. Obviously, adding a team like Southern Utah, who ends up, being at least a share of the championship so far has been valuable to, along with Arlington and adding those into the group that we've had previously coming back with Stephen F. Austin, and Cal Baptist has obviously been a force to reckon with, and Grand Canyon's doing well. And so I think, overall the Women's League has put out and done a good job this year, and they're all playing well. And I think that it speaks a lot to how there's so many things that still need to be decided. We're excited for what's going to happen next week in Vegas.
Yeah, so Southern Utah picked 6th, I believe, by the coaches and 8th by the media in the preseason poll, and they won the WAC regular season title on Tuesday night with their win over California Baptist. You talk about that addition of Southern Utah, and we'll talk about maybe on the men's side. Lamar and UIW went back to the Southland. Chicago State, left the conference as well. No offense to those schools, but it was addition by addition, I guess, with adding Southern Utah and UT Arlington, to where the league now is just even more elevated, where we don't have 2 or 3 teams in a sub 300 KenPom or sub 300 net. Like, they're the 11th ranked conference in the country, and one of the top 5 mid majors in the country. Like, how good is the basketball in this league that people don't like? It's almost like they don't trust me sometimes when I tell them how good this league is.
No, absolutely. I think, you mentioned it. I mean, obviously we had teams that were at the bottom of our conference that chose to not be a part of it. And we added in some very strong teams to go on top of that. Obviously Southern Utah on the men's side and the women's side, great addition as far as basketball. We knew that coming in, that they were going to be a valuable asset as a league as a whole. And I think that's the reason why, they're here. They're making an investment in basketball, and see that, the WAC is also making that investment. Our ADs and our presidents are very much invested in providing, a great basketball conference and putting a great product on the floor. And I think that speaks volumes to that. I think, being on the phone earlier with a couple other folks, one of the things that, you're doing research on, we talk about the 11th ranked conference in KenPom and net for men's basketball. It's huge, right? There's only one other non-FBS conference that's ahead of us. That's WCC. And we all know that they've got, 2 powerhouse programs that, are they can toe up with any of the best teams in the country on a nightly basis. And so we know that they're obviously propped up by, some great programs at the top. And we feel strongly about the whole of our conference. There's 21 of the other 30 or 24 of the other 31 leagues that have at least one team below our lowest team in net. There's only 7 conferences that don't have anybody that's below our lowest team. And so there's not an easy night out. You can go in the Pac-12, you're going to catch a team in the 300s. You can go in the ACC, you're going to catch a team in the 300s. You know, the WAC doesn't have a team in the 300s right now. You know, we have 3 teams in the 200s, and that's it. Everybody else is in 200 and above. And so it really speaks to the teams that we have and in the basketball that's being played. And again, it's going to make for an exciting next week to kind of see what happens. You know, it's the beginning of March Madness. You know, everybody talks the NCAA tournament as March. I mean, every team in our league has an opportunity to play into March Madness. And so being in Vegas, you know, it's the kickoff event to it. And obviously you advance to the championship of that event. You get to play the next week, and then you keep playing as long as you can keep winning.
You talked about that whole wild, exciting, week at Lost in WAC Vegas. Let's talk about maybe last night's outcomes. You see a Utah Tech beat Seattle by 37, Drew, like 37 points. I did say Utah Tech was going to play spoiler this week, though, so I'm not going to downplay it, but I don't think anybody saw a 37-point win for the Trailblazers. GCU loses at home on Friday night to that same Seattle team that just lost by 37 on Wednesday night. And then they go in and beat Southern Utah, who hasn't lost a WAC game at home all season long. Like, it's just that feels like it's the MO of the league, though, this year, because we've seen UT Arlington beat Sam Houston. They beat SFA on the road. Utah Tech has a win over Southern Utah. UTRGV went into GCU and beat GCU on a buzzer beater. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. You talk about that depth a little bit more to the fans because, like you said, there's no easy nights in this league.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that, you see it on a weekly basis. We follow this thing and talk all the time about, you don't know who's going to win. You could think somebody might have an upper hand on somebody else, but to your point, even the teams that, have maybe struggled more than they thought, or they're not bad teams. Like Utah Tech, maybe it's just due. They've been in a lot of tough games with folks and hadn't come out. They obviously put it all together. Last night. Grand Canyon, they've been up, they've been down, they've won some great games, they've played some other games tough, and the ball didn't bounce their way. And so I think that speaks to all of them. I think UT Arlington has shown spurts where they're a difficult team to deal with. Even for a long time, last night they were in the game with Utah Valley, and so RGV, I've seen them live too, and they're a team that they can. I think that anything is possible at this point, and it really speaks to that. Every game it definitely matters, and we're seeing that with the coaches. They think that they're all well aware that this league is very difficult. It's very tough, and that they've got a lot of peers in this league that have great teams, and every night is difficult for them.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I still go back to when the conference schedule was put out. I believe it was in September sometime, and I was listening to Matt Feger talk about his league schedule, and his first initial thought is like, where the hell am I going to get a win? And I feel like every coach in this league is kind of the same way because it's so deep this year. I know, and here's the other part that people don't realize: New Mexico State hasn't been relevant in the league all season long. They are the defending champs. They won a game in the NCAA tournament. Probably had a chance to go to Sweet 16. They could have knocked off Arkansas in that ball game. They haven't been relevant all season with everything that's gone on, and yet the WAC just seems to keep elevating itself with the teams that are in it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, even though they had a coaching change, and even though, they had a roster turnover, I still think there was a lot of folks that expected them to be a player in the mix. Just historically, they've been that's where the championship had gone to run through for the past, however many years since they've been playing in the league, and kind of, winning out most of the years. And so, like you said, even with a team like that down, a program like that hadn't been a part of it or part of the upper echelon of the league. I think it just speaks to everybody else that it's really risen to the occasion and really continue to push forward. I think you could say all that you want about the media or coaches or whoever. I mean, we looked at it all kinds of different ways, and you weren't sure on some of these teams who was going to come out ahead. And I think that just proves that, hey, listen, everybody can say what they want. You got to go out and win those games, and you got to show out. And we've got a bunch of teams that have been able to do that. Unfortunately, some of them, they beat their heads against each other a little bit. And so, obviously some teams, they take on more losses than maybe you expected out of a program like that. But when your league is deep, it's pretty hard to come out unscathed. And, to the point where, hey, Utah Valley is, they've had a remarkable season and only lost 3 times in the league so far. I mean, that's pretty strong statement. And Sam Houston, just the same. They've really kind of shown that, those 2 teams have played the most consistent and been, stayed on the top, the majority of the nights. And I think that shows where they're at.
One last question for you. When you look at the top teams in the WAC, the Sam Houstons, Utah Valleys, Southern Utahs, so forth, do you see a trend of the teams that have more guys that have been in the program 2-3 years over the teams that, like a UTRGV or other teams that have had more roster turnover? Is that kind of an interesting storyline that people don't really realize in a sense?
Well, I think it's modern coaching. It's coaching in the 2020s. You're going to have these situations where if you can keep a team together, you're probably going to have a little bit of, an upper hand. But there's also the constant ability to just go out and get a whole new roster. And if they mesh well, you're going to see them succeed. I mean, I think we see it around the country. The transfer portal is still new, and the ability to just kind of go from one school to the next, in a year without sitting out has just made it to the point where players can move around very, very quickly. And recruiting, it comes at you fast when you hit the spring and that portal opens, and coaches have to make a lot of decisions quickly in trying to put together their roster, whether they're losing or gaining players. And, coaching is going to be about meshing what you have and what you're gaining or losing and putting those together. And so I think that, moving forward, we're going to see some teams that, if they stick together for a long time, I mean, that's been the history of college athletics for the most part, is the teams that have been able to get old together more times than not have been the ones that have been successful. And I don't believe that that's going away. I do believe that it's going to be more difficult to get to that point and keep your team together for a long period of time. And so the ability to not only keep them together, but also gain quality transfers and freshmen that can come in and be strong pieces and meshing those groups together. I mean, that's going to be the storyline going forward is who can do that the best. And that's going to probably end up where, who ends up being successful.
Absolutely. Speraw, the WAC Associate Commissioner of Basketball, thanks for the time, and we'll see you in Las Vegas in a few days.
See you in Vegas.
That was the Associate Commissioner, Drew Speraw, just talking about the seeding system, kind of what we're looking at so far, the depth of the league on both the men's and the women's side. Like it was mentioned, Southern Utah women clinched a share of the regular season title on Tuesday. They can clinch it outright on Thursday night when they host GCU if they can win it, or if Stephen F. Austin loses at UT Arlington. If Stephen F. Austin wins and beats the Lady Mavs and SUU loses, they share the regular season title. But either way, what Tracy Sanders has done in Cedar City, remarkable with what they were picked to do by the preseason polls, as well as Utah Valley winning a share of the regular season title. They have the tiebreakers, so they actually have the automatic berth to the NIT if they don't win WAC Vegas next Saturday. They have to win 3 games to get to the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history. So we'll see what happens. We're going to take one last break, and then we'll come back.
Get ready for an entire week in WAC Vegas. More teams, more games. The 2023 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. March 6th through the 11th. At the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to WACsports.com.
Yeah, make sure you get your tickets for Monday and Tuesday, which is at Michelob Ultra Arena at Mandalay Bay. It's a great arena, a nice arena, really. Pac-12 women are playing there right now. But Monday, we'll tip off the WAC tournament in Las Vegas. So go to WACsports.com and get your ticket information, get your tickets for those sessions on Monday and Tuesday. And then back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be at the Orleans Arena where it usually is. The WAC got a new floor. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. I don't have a video of it right now, but check out WACsports.com, the account there, and see they got a WAC-specific floor this year instead of the red and blue basic Orleans floor big-time things that they're going to do for WAC Vegas. It's going to be a very interesting tournament. We know what 12 teams are going on both sides. Tarleton just let go of Misty Wilson, the head coach there, after a struggle this season. They were the only team that didn't qualify for WAC Vegas. I mean, outside of New Mexico State mess, the Aggies, the defending champs, will not be there. It will be kind of weird to not have a big Aggie contingent walking around the Orleans Arena or filling the arena for their team. So that'll be strange. But Jody Adams' team is still there. They have the ability to win some games, so maybe there will be quite a few Aggies fans there supporting the women's basketball team. Either way, the league is wide open. Sure, Utah Valley and Sam Houston will be the 1-2 seeds. That's still to be determined. Like I said, 1/100th of a point or 2/100ths of a point could be the difference in the 1 seed this year on the men's side. SFA is going to be the 1 seed on the women's side. Southern Utah will be the 2 seed. Grand Canyon, regardless of what happens tonight, will be the 3 seed, it seems like, just by the math that I've done. The rest of it is kind of wide open, what we're determining. Seattle U and Utah Valley will be the 11-12 seed. But, outcomes on Thursday night will determine where they're at. So, with that being said, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll be back on Friday. Maybe do some pregame stuff from the UCCU Center where the Wolverines, it's senior day for a really special group of Wolverines. I'm sorry, I bleed green. And so it's going to be a very emotional day to see Trey Woodbury, Tim Fuller, Blaze Neild among those honored on Friday night at the UCCU Center. But we'll see about doing a WAC Hoops Live. Either way, remember to check out the Straight Out WAC podcast on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you can get it. And make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel as we continue to bring you content. So everybody have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the basketball games. Good luck to all the teams. And safe travels to those who are going to their destinations today. We're going to have a fun 2 days of the regular season as the regular season wraps up here in the Western Athletic Conference.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta WAC podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter at WAC Hoops Digest and Facebook under WAC Hoops Digest for all your WAC Hoops news and information.